Hello, everybody. I definitely did not just finish eating a spring onion pancake from Trader Joe's in the last 3 minutes. Oh, I hope you all are doing well. Hello, it has been a minute, but we are back with the Friday live stream, as is tradition on this channel. Look at my dog. She is so cozy. I am wearing a sweater today because, wouldn't you know it, we have gone from having 90-degree weather to having 55-degree weather and raining. Maybe that's good. I think maybe it's good. Maybe it means 4th of July won't have as much of a fire risk. There could be benefits to this, I suppose. But we are all snuggled in here, and I actually went to go make some tea. And I only have like 3 packets of herbal tea left, which is very sad. So I was like, I don't want just like plain herbal tea. So we are having the creatine in the giant bottle of water instead. I'm definitely staying hydrated. Got to stay hydrated. So last week I was gone because I was at Southeast Leatherfest in the beautiful, not actually that humid this time around, Atlanta, Georgia. I have gone there twice now in person. It is a beautiful, wonderful event. If you are in the southeast of the United States and you're like, I want to go to a kink convention, what should I look for? Southeast Leatherfest, though it is a leather convention per the title, right? Has leather in there. It is definitely an open to everyone convention, regardless of your age, kink identity, what race you are, anything like that, level of experience, doesn't matter. Everyone is definitely welcome there. I had a fantastic time this year as I did last year, and it's you know, it's just nice to be back in that part of the country, although it is kind of a whiplash experience to go from, you know, 85 degrees, afternoon thunderstorms, and then to be back here and having it be rainy and cold, but it is what it is. How do you want me to post my reviews of the Femocracy and DomCon? Oh, actually, you have my FetLife now. If you send me a FetLife message, like, you can do it that way. Look at my dog, shows a couch. She's right there. Look, she's right, look right there. Unless you're saying that my dog is a couch, in which case, maybe for a mouse, she would be a couch. Finally able to catch a stream because I'm stuck in bed after surgery. Oh, I hope your surgery went well. Oh my goodness. That's like kind of a, hopefully it's okay. I don't want to say it's a sad reason for you to be here, but I'm glad you could make it. Hopefully this will give you some comfort. Recovering from surgery is an experience. Oh, and thank you, Sean, for the 10 gifted memberships for the stream. Thank you so much, Sean. So I guess I will use that as my cue to get into the actual beginning part of the live stream. So hi everyone, my name is Evie Lupine. Here on my channel on Fridays we do a little interactive BDSM Q&A and live stream, and we go for about 2 hours, and basically what happens is you guys ask questions and I answer them, and we have a little back and forth in the chat, and I ramble about stuff sometimes, like Trader Joe spring onion pancakes or creatine or my dog. We all have a fun time. I usually put in a couple of suggestions for potential topics just in the title of the live stream to have something to put in there. It does not necessarily mean we will get to those topics or cover them at all. I can't predict what y'all are gonna ask me about, so I do my best, okay? Other than that, if you would like to participate in the chat, please listen to me, respect the mods. You must also be at least 18. If I discover that you are under the age of 18 and you are here, I will give you the boot. It is not because I think teenagers are dumb and stupid or bad or anything. It's just mixing these kinds of conversations between adults and children is not a good idea, so we don't do that. We also have rules and an FAQ down below that you can go ahead and check out. If you have commonly asked questions like, where do I buy this thing? What books do you recommend? What movies do you recommend? I have links to all of that where I've covered those things before, or resources down below, and that is the best way to get those questions answered. But if you have a specific question that maybe is pertinent to one of the commonly asked questions, the worst thing that can happen is I don't respond and I just skip over it. I don't usually do that these days because y'all ask really interesting questions, but every once in a while we get a new person. The main thing y'all need to know is I don't cover medical advice, mental health advice, because I'm neither a therapist nor a doctor. So if you're like, can I do this thing even when I am having a manic episode? I'm going to be like, don't know. If you're like, hey, I did impact play and we broke skin and now the spot is like really tender and painful. Should I go to the doctor? I'm gonna be like, yeah, go to the doctor. It's gonna be what you need to know. Okay, great. Yes, I will look for that PM on FetLife. I guess let us go ahead and start here. My first live stream, I subscribed and found this channel recently. Ooh, welcome. Well, that's basically what you need to know about this. Oh, and I go in order of the chat. So if you guys have a question, please ask it early because that means it's going to be the most likely for me to see it. Otherwise, if you use a super chat or you donate memberships like Sean has done, I will get to those questions ASAP. That puts you in like the priority line for getting your questions answered. But other than that, that is what y'all need to know, and we will go ahead and get into it. I just watched Kat Black's video on the ickiness of race play and also why so many shitty men are into cucking. Is that the same video? Because, you know, she has an older video on race play. I did see she published a new video on alt-right dudes being into cuckolding, and I'm actually shocked that she could make that video and not have it be age restricted, because whenever I've put like cuckolding and like a thumbnail or a title or just talked about it like even briefly in a video, it always gets age restricted or demonetized, like in usually age restricted, not just demonetized. So I don't know, maybe it's because she mostly makes more like political content now, maybe they kind of like let her in under the radar. But YouTube is such a weird platform that you can re-upload the same video with like slightly different edits 3 or 4 times, and YouTube will like give you 3 different answers on whether or not it's monetizable or whether or not it would be age restricted. So I've thought about that before, but I don't really talk about like cuckolding that much on the channel, even if it is a big kink for a lot of people, because I don't want to risk the longevity of my channel because I talked about like a taboo word that YouTube doesn't like too much, you know what I mean? So I definitely have that on my to watch list. I'm probably gonna watch it on Tuesday for the Patreon stream next week because it does sound really interesting. And honestly, I feel bad with people for a cuckolding fetish, because I actually don't think that, and I'd be curious to hear what argument Kat makes. There's like a certain vein of argument that people will make that's kind of in this line of like, oh, you know, closeted, like, you know, like really loud homophobes are like closeted gay men. Or, you know, people on the far right that pretend to be alpha males are actually like sexually submissive and they're into like cuckolding and like being sexually dominated by other men. Or like they're into pegging secretly or whatever. Like, I don't love any of those kinds of arguments. I think there are like edge cases where it could be true. Like there are definitely people in the world, for example, with homophobia who have such a deep level of self-hatred that in order to like psychologically cope with it, they sublimate it and transfer it onto other people. I think that is a phenomenon that happens, but it definitely doesn't explain like basic garden variety daily homophobia or like most people's homophobia. So I don't like the tendency, like I feel like that's sort of playing the far right's game for them, is like saying that people have like secret sexual proclivities that they're not disclosing. Like I don't know. It's just me. There are 2 different videos, but the topics are related. Oh yeah, and I also like I totally respect Kat's opinion about race play, but I don't necessarily like agree with it. I know people who are people of color and who are part of marginalized groups, whether they're indigenous or they're Black Americans or they're recent migrants. Like I know plenty of people that incorporate race play into their kink life, including like really big prominent educators that like don't necessarily have universally the same qualms about it as other people of color do. So I'm a white person, so it's kind of not my wheelhouse to have super authoritative comments about. But I don't, anything that's like this kink is like universally wrong, or like this kind of person is into this kind of kink always, whether it's, you know, again, sort of homophobic people are secretly gay, like that kind of flavorist stuff. I'm just like, universal statements. I don't love, try to avoid making them, but that's me. And it seems Streamlabs is not doing the thing. Weird. Oh shit, I'm sorry. I think I accidentally turned off dono alerts. Don't know when I did that, but I did just notice that for some reason I had it set as invisible. I must have been testing something and forgot that I was doing that last week before I left to go on my trip. I am so sorry. Nathan, if you want to put what you would have put in the super chat, just in a regular chat again, I will see it and I will get to it. But that's my bad. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I had it invisible. Oopsie. Oopsie. There was a great comment on one of Evie's videos earlier about a Matt dude discovering Evie's video on Subspace wasn't about vector spaces or some such. Oh yeah, I get like, that's like the #1 comment I get in that video now. Like whenever I get a comment on my Ultimate Guide to Subspace video, which by the way, I think it's adorable that math nerds look at a video with a title like Ultimate Guide to Subspace. And then at the time, I have the hair that I currently have now, but at the time I was wearing a wig. A woman with purple makeup on and a black wig sitting in her room. And they're like, yes, probably about math. I appreciate the courage of the algorithm to direct them that way and for them to click on the video blindly and be surprised. I didn't know it was a math term. I didn't know. I mean, it's like from like Star Trek, it sounds like it could be like a astrophysics or a mathematical term. But I sort of forget that people use YouTube to like learn about math. It's not part of my like risk criteria when I'm thinking about what to title a video, you know what I mean? All right, okay. Actually, we got a super chat from Sean. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that up. So Sean is going to tell us a story about DomCon and events therein. So there were actually multiple Kink conventions this weekend. I think... car alarm going off. Okay. Now that reset my brain. What was what was I saying? Oh yes, DomCon was either this weekend or the weekend before. There's a lot of Kink conventions that happen around weird holidays, so like Veterans Day, Father's Day, Easter, like holidays that people don't generally travel for or do big events for, like Christmas. For some reason, it tends to be easier to rent out like expo halls or event centers or hotel ballrooms on those weekends because they're not like as much a traveling holiday for people. And then also like, you know, the chiropractors of northeastern Michigan are not trying to do their like symposium, you know, on Father's Day weekend, right? So they're not booking the hotel ballroom. Grindr always crashes at those Republican grunge for some reason. It's why they're a huge audience for trans porn. Oh, true, yeah. It's also very much an extension of their own misogyny. I agree that it's not the root of their queer phobia, though, but it happens too frequently these days to say it's an edge case thing. Oh, yeah, I guess maybe I shouldn't say, like, I guess I'm thinking of the scope that, like, homophobia is so commonplace that, like, if you're looking at somebody who's, like, a massive, very vocal homophobe, I feel like it's not really addressing the underlying issue to be like, oh, well, they're just gay and they hate themselves. Like, is that, like, why are we going right to that immediately as a thing? Plus, most of the, like, when I'm thinking of, like, fundamentalists who are, like, married to women and, like, have, like, 10 kids or whatever, are, like, some of those people, like, self-hating gay men? Like, probably. But the majority of them are straight dudes that, like, hate gay people because they're like afraid of being tricked by a gay person or like afraid of catching the gay or whatever. Like it's not necessarily because they're self-hating, they just actually like hate people, you know what I mean? Yeah. But I hear you on the fact that it like, you know, Grindr crashes around, you know, big Republican events. There's certainly, but also it doesn't have to be like, there's so many Republicans in this country that are homophobic, right? If we look at, you know, who's voting for what party and who they're politically aligned with, that even if it's like 5% of them are like secretly gay, it's like enough to cause problems. Like it just has to be like more than usual. Aw, Flopsy baby. Flapsy baby. Boop. And we flooped. Yeah, right. It's not the underlying issue, but I think there's a lot of projection on those guys. Is it weird? Oh yeah, and there's also like the whole, I think actually the correlation that's probably more true is like the obsession with like trans women. I think that shit is real. Like that is a thing. The fixation on the male, like on like what they see as like male anatomy, but then also being a woman, like there's that. I think like just based on what we know about like porn searches for like predominantly conservative areas, like that's a big one. That's there. So anyways, I don't know, I have like, maybe I should look more into the data on this before I speak too authoritatively, but like if it's enough to sway like porn search results in a state that's like really deeply red, like there's something happening there. But also I don't think that's because people are like self-hating trans women. I think it's just like they hate trans women so much, and like that hatred is kind of, it's like a circular, like it self-perpetuates. Like which thing is a part that happened first is maybe a little hard to say, because I think like deep hatred and disgust for things can lead to like a sort of a fixation that if you indulge in it can kind of become a source of arousal. So like I don't know, there's weird things happening with the brain there, where if it's like I feel disgusted about myself because I'm attracted to this thing and that causes hatred, versus the hatred I feel causes disgust, and then that disgust kind of, because I don't have a high level of emotional intelligence, maybe I confuse it in my brain with fascination, and then because I indulge in that fascination that sort of weirdly leads to arousal. Like, you see what I mean? Like chicken and egg problem. Don't know. Actual psychologists would probably know better than me, but yeah. Anyways, that's a whole thing we could talk about for a minute. But yeah. I'm at least glad that it's not like middle schoolers looking on stuff for their math. They probably wouldn't even go to YouTube, would they? Yeah, college students. I'm okay with that. If it's college students finding it by accident, you're an adult, whatever. Yeah, no, they're not self-hating trans women, but a lot of them see us as inherently shameful beings, and I think a portion of them also are into like sissy stuff as a cope for that. Oh yeah. And that's also probably, there's like misogyny baked into that as well, because I know that's a whole additional conversation, is the like sissies having a bad reputation because there are a lot of people who are into sissification, that the way they engage in it is like kind of rooted in misogyny, but there's other people where that's like not what it is, and it's like a gender expression thing. Like also a complicated thing that has many different facets. It's about nuance. Who would have guessed? They just think of trans women as feminized men for their fetish. Oh yeah. It's like, oh, they're just cross-dressing. They're just like putting on a costume to pretend to be a woman. Like their brains are just not equipped to deal with that being anything other than how they personally relate to it. I guess that's like how fear can manifest as arousal, maybe anger does too. I'm not like sure like biologically what the mechanism for that is, but I think anytime you have a really like, okay, there's a book that I reference all the time. I think I've even referenced it on the last stream that I did, right? So I'm not saying this is like the Bible or anything, but The Erotic Mind by Jack Morin, there's a lot in here about like how people develop their sexual schemas, and like why are people into the things that they're into, that I think is like an interesting, and at least is one way of approaching it. And something that they talk about in the book is like how like intense emotional experiences can be overwhelming, and especially for things that tend to develop at a young age, like sexual interest can start developing pretty young. One of the sort of overflow mechanisms that our brain has for dealing with overwhelming intense emotions is to make it erotic and turn it into a source of arousal. Because if you're really overwhelmed by something, whether it's like, you know, for example, fear, right, is the most predominant thing. If you can kind of convert that into a fixation that then turns into an arousal source, like it becomes easier to deal with that source of fear, because you've sort of hacked your brain to connect it to this like very powerful reward system. I haven't read this book for a while, so I may not be summarizing that exactly as they say it in the book, but that's sort of the gist of it. Plus, if you guys like reading about things like this as I do and understanding human sexuality and things, it's an older one. not the be all end all. I also just noticed that oh my god, some of the authors on the back of this book have like, I need to find these books that they've written because they have amazing titles. Like, there's somebody who wrote a book called Lesbian Sex, Lesbian Passion, and the Lesbian Erotic Dance. Tell me about the lesbian erotic dance. Or the new male sexuality. Is that like metrosexual? Is that when metrosexuality was invented? Oh, the fear of 50. Oh dear. And the fear of flying. I don't know if those two, are they related? The fear of flying, like literally coming over your fear of planes? Like what's that about? Anyways, the lesbian erotic dance. I want to know what that means. It just sounds very anthropological. It sounds very like I like am studying lesbians like they're on a savannah. Like here's their mating protocol. Yeah. All right, talk about misogyny. It's a great topic for the stream. All right. Moving on from misogyny and self-hatred and sublimation and such like, let's get into talking about conventions and experiences. All right, this is from Sean. And I'm assuming if you're like, don't say that part as I didn't, whatever, let me know, but I'm assuming you want me to say all of this. At the Democracy Party, I had a great time. I got a partial hog tie done to me. Even my big toes were tied together. Ooh, advanced moves. I was then flogged while tied up. To conclude my time at the party, one of the doms had a sub in need of punishment, and the dom I came with had me flog him for practice. DomCon was a mix of professional and general attendance events and classes. The event ran from Wednesday to Sunday. Everything on Wednesday and Thursday were professional industry only. Ah, okay, that makes sense. Friday through Sunday were the general public classes as well as open eventers. All days of the public event also had some events for professionals only. For example, on Friday, I chose to go to the plastic wrap / duct tape bondage class. Ooh, that sounds great. I've taken a couple of those and I just love it. It's a great form of bondage. 11:30 a.m. Intro to rope bondage, safety and consent. Also a good class choice at 1:30. Intro to wax play at 3:30. Electrical play at 5:30. In each time slot, there were 5 classes to choose from. That's pretty typical spread. Running concurrently were shows in the vendor hall as well as other events open to the public as well as a few that were professional only. Mine ended with the DomCon Nection. Oh, that's, yep, I get it. Where we got to meet with others. As I was presenting as the dominant part of my switch personality, I sat in my seat and spoke to the sub in front of me. After 3 minutes, all the subs moved one seat over. Oh, okay, so it's like kind of a speed dating thing. Rinse and repeat for 60 minutes. The play party was oversold at the door, IMO. There were a few demos that were great to watch, but pick-up play was non-existent. The 2 playrooms were so crowded you could barely walk. Overall, had a great time and we'll do it again. It was, and I'm just gonna say it was in LA. I'm not gonna actually say, I don't wanna blow up the hotel spot. You know what I mean? Oh, thanks for becoming a member. Welcome to the Lupineers. Okay, so let's talk about it. Okay, so I'm really happy to hear this because I have heard mixed things about DomCon. Mostly the people I know that go to it are in the professional industry. Also because, so DomCon is one of 2 events that are both called DomCon. One is in LA and one is in New Orleans. And I have not been to either one of them before because of the fact I've always heard that it's a professional-centered event. And I know that they have classes there. I have heard mixed things about some of the educators. I don't know what their process is for choosing people. And obviously, I don't know. So kind of to give people a window into at least my experience with how venues or events, especially conventions, will handle getting presenters is they will have one of 2 things most of the time. One, they're closed and they don't necessarily have like a open call for presenters. You have 1 month to like submit your classes and things like that to us, and then we'll review and email people by such and such a date. A lot of places will be closed off and like you can email the programming coordinator like your resume, which would include like your bio, other places you've taught at before, references for the community, and then a summary of the classes you teach and kind of the class descriptions and learning objectives and things like that. and you can just kind of cold email them and then hope that maybe they'll take you under consideration if they decide that they want to work with you. Other places will do the thing that I just described, which is having an open call where they will have a period usually before they sell tickets where they have a call for presenters and vendors. And then usually what you do with that is there's like I don't know, is it like a Google form now? It depends on the website they're using. You'll have to submit your name, a couple of references, again, like class titles and summaries, equipment you would need to present for that class. If you would need a demo bottom or a co-presenter, you'd also potentially give other information like upload a bio to be used in materials for the convention and a headshot and things like that. I have only ever taught with one organization that had me actually do like an interview or like a sample presentation. They just fucking go off of your class descriptions and like if you've taught at enough other places or if they like know your name. It's like kind of crazy. And because of that, you can have people who are really, really good. And you can have people that are maybe good at writing a class description and maybe they're teaching on something that doesn't get talked about a lot that's like fairly high demand. And they pick based off of that. And that is a choice. I have one memory specifically of a class that I took at Kink Fest. Oh, this is maybe before the pandemic, so maybe like 2018. And I don't know if this person has like changed their classes. I don't know if it was the first time they ever taught it, but it was like the worst class experience I've ever had. And this was at the point in time when Kink Fest was doing some classes via like using space outside of the convention. So I had to take a shuttle to one of the connected hotels to Kink Fest because they were in an expo hall and go to a classroom that was like off-site in a ballroom area, and it was like a 2-hour class slot, and they barely got through like an hour of content. It was supposed to be like a high protocol service class, but then it was like really focused on like sissification, like maid role play stuff, which was like not in the class description. And I don't remember the specifics of it other than I left feeling like, wow, they like were like not fully prepared for this, and this was not what I thought the class was going to be. And I think based off of what the class was supposed to be like, it would have been really high in demand. So occasionally get people that are just like, maybe they rush through their content or they haven't pasted enough yet. I like have been there teaching online when it's like the first time I run through a class ever where I like either go overtime or I don't fill up enough time and like just with my prepared presentation material. Because even if you cold run it yourself, just like going through it, like talking to yourself into a camera, being live with whether it's online or in person, people like asking questions or not, or if there's like technical stuff going on, it's hard to know exactly in the moment how long it's going to take you to get through stuff. So I understand a little bit, but I find it fascinating that if you're considering like, also they don't like pay you. If you're teaching at a convention, they do not pay you pretty much ever. The bog standard like minimum that you will get that most places will offer you is a ticket for you to get into the convention for free, which is not nothing. That's anywhere depending on when you buy the ticket, like depending on like, okay, do they stagger event prices by like number of tickets sold or date the ticket is purchased? Like that could save you like $200 to $300, maybe even more than that, if you're just getting a free comp. But then you also have to pay potentially for travel and the food when you're there and the hotel room. And it is very, very rare, unless you're a very big educator like a Lee Harrington or like a Melina Williams, like people that are really, really big names that are a massive draw. I imagine they probably get offered a little bit more. But for most like random people who are just like, dude who has a hyperfixation about whips and like wants to teach about whips, like the most you're probably going to get is your ticket comp. You're not going to get anything for hotel or airfare. I've had one convention I know of that will do half of a hotel cost, and you have to stay there for like a minimum number of days because they don't necessarily tell you like if you're going to present on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, maybe as an example. So because of that, in order to facilitate people being there for longer, they'll comp like half a hotel room for people. So they'll do like maybe if a hotel room is $100 a night, they'll cover like $50 of it just to make it easier for you to stay there for the full convention. As opposed to other places will ask you like which days are you available to present ahead of time. And also, it's also confusing to know when to apply because no one ever does it at the same time. No one ever does it at the same time. No one ever sells tickets at the same time. I know events that like are sold out 6 months ahead of time. There's an event that's happening in November that I know is sold out. How many months away is that, right? That's July, August, September, October, November, right? And they were sold out like in May, I think. So they're a minute away because they're also like towards the end of November. They will sell out 6 months in advance. I know other conventions where they have tickets all the way up until the door, and they don't start selling tickets until 2 months beforehand. And I know some places that'll do a call for presenters like 2 months before they start selling tickets. And so if you want to go to an event, sometimes you might be waiting until like 3 months before the event. Sometimes it's 8 months ahead of time, and they're all different. And like I just wish people would get on the same page, because if you want to be able to present or go somewhere, it'd be nice to be able to plan out ahead of time. Like, okay, when do I need to be looking for stuff? But anyways, that's sort of the inside baseball of it. I'm not I did not dox a hotel. Doesn't matter. Whatever. I don't know if you were talking about the Portland hotel or what, but yeah. In any case, they don't even do that at that hotel anymore. So if it's the Portland thing, it doesn't matter because the hotel is not affiliated with the event anyways. So if you showed up there, there's not going to be kinky things happening for people to blow up over, as opposed to like a hotel that a convention is at consistently all the time. One of the advantages of doing it at an expo center is it is more secure. Just from a, like, you people have to like pay for a parking ticket and park, and you can't just like walk into it the same way at the same level that you would just like waltz into a hotel. But anyways, that's conventions. In case anyone's like, people don't like make money teaching at conventions. It's for the love of the game. It's because, again, they have a hyperfixation on whips, and they just want to tell other people about everything that they know about whips. And I think that's great. But yeah, there were some classes at DomCon that I heard were like last year were like not great. There was something that happened with like trauma dumping, I think, in one of the classes that people found like really inappropriate. But my memory on that is fuzzy. I don't recall it exactly. All my classes were 5 stars. Great. That is really good to hear. Maybe they I know that there were people who were talking about it, and like if it was enough for me to hear about it, I would hope that the people running the education coordination for DomCon heard about it and improved things since then. The wax class was hands-on with a demo bottom. Oh, that's great. I think that's I don't really see like wax play getting taught at like big conventions. I think they should, though, because that's a popular kink. I think it's usually because it's like, especially if you're doing it in a hotel, if the hotel's going to want to risk their carpet to have you pour hot wax all over something. Probably not. So like if you can't do it at the dungeon, you probably can't do it during a class, right? But that's there is really nice. I sent a super chat you missed, just letting you know. Oh, thank you. I will get to it, Psycho Salad. I appreciate that. I probably was rambling about conventions still based on Sean's question, or sharing. But I like the connection thing. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. I'm seeing more conventions do this, and if any of you guys are going to a convention soon, or you live near a place your community's putting a convention on, I would advocate for this because I think it can make a really big difference for people. Is if you are going to a convention, you can have like, they'll call it different things, right? It'll be like Jiffy speed dating or kinky speed dating, or like, I guess, Dom connections, which is obviously, can't pass that up. It's too good of a pun. And it's basically just like that, where I've seen ones just for like rope. I've seen ones that are more general for DS stuff or like play party stuff, different formats. But the idea is you do a little speed date thing. Sometimes it's like both people swap and it's like a musical chairs thing. I think the more common format is like one person is sitting down and the other person rotates, so you go all the way through. I have tried to go to those before, but usually the rest of my convention schedule is way too packed. And by the time I get down to like do a sign-up sheet for those, they are beyond full. So I've never actually gone to one before. I should make that a priority for Dark Odyssey. Because if they're doing it again next year, I should try it, because I haven't done it yet. And I would like to, as long as I'm not going to run into, like, what do you do in that scenario if you run into somebody who's like an ex? That's like my fear, is being at, because you're in the community for long enough, you have exes and like play partners you don't play with anymore for various reasons. My fear is, one, having to see an ex I don't like flirt with people. That is disgusting to me. That is revolting. I wish to never have to witness that in my life. But also having to awkwardly, like, what do you do if they're around you? In, like, is there protocol for that? Because then everyone else would know, and then that's awkward. Do you just grin and bear through it? Do you pull your phone out and, like, ignore them? Like, because there are exes where if we ran into each other, we were at like a speed dating thing, it would be a nice moment to catch up, and it would be fine. There are also exes that I never want to talk to again and don't ever want to even like make eye contact with. And if I had to be in a speed dating room with them and I saw them there, I would probably just leave. I would be like, hey, can I do the next session instead, actually? Because usually they do multiple sessions. And actually, I'd probably look at the sign-up sheet ahead of time and just see if anyone I didn't want to be around was on the sign-up sheet for the same day as me. That would probably be what I would do. But sometimes they do it online in advance. Oh, wait, no. I have done this online before. That's not true. I have done the online version of this. Was that for Dark Odyssey or Kink Fest? I don't remember. It was one of those two. And that actually was nice. I don't think I found anybody that I ended up playing with through that, but it was nice to, like, meet and mix and mingle with people in a comfortable setting. But I think doing it in person, you get a little better read of the energy that way. Oh, yes, Rain. If you use a super chat, I will get to your question ASAP when I'm done kind of on my current thought. But otherwise, I answer questions in the order they come in. So if you asked it early enough, we're only half an hour in, so I'll probably get to it. But I will usually give people an opportunity at the last, like, 10, 15 minutes of the stream to re-ask if I didn't get to something. All right, let's do... Okay, now we gotta do Nathan's, and we gotta do Psycho Salads. Okay. Let's do Nathan's, which I think I saw already, but I'm just going to like refresh my brain on what it was, and then we're going to move on. But I wonder if toe tying is becoming trendy. Rope people do like new things. Oh yeah, no, I think it is. I think actually there's a specific like butt tie that's trending right now. I'm seeing everybody do it on the East Coast. I think somebody must have taught a class about it recently. It's a very, by butt rope, I mean like a hip harness. But isn't it funner to call it butt rope? Isn't that just a little zestier? All right, let's get back to Nathan's question here. Looking for advice on staying motivated when all the people seem to be better at things than you. Chat chime in. Ooh, I wonder, did chat chime in? Do people have thoughts? Because I think that is a really, really good question. So this is like such a human problem, isn't it? This isn't even a kink thing. This is just a human problem. I think the word there that's important is seems to be better at things than you. As we will often say, what you see in a dungeon or see on social media is not reality. People be faking it till they make it all the time, whether it's what they talk about on the internet or what they do in a dungeon. If they seem really confident, they're likely to seem like they're actually more put together than they are. And unfortunately, oh, my dog is snoring. It's so cute. Sorry, squirrel brain moment. The people that are the most likely to confidently fake how good they are at something are like exactly the kind of people that absolutely should not be faking how good they are at something, because they actually don't know what the fuck they're doing. But also remember that even if you've been in the community for a long time, especially if you're taking up a new skill, like you're learning electroplay or rope bondage or like rough body play mechanics, like there are a lot of things in kink that either people are coming in with like skill sets from elsewhere. Like if you're somebody with a BJJ background, like you're gonna pick up rough body play, like breath control, like way quicker, and like take down a capture than like somebody who's like never done that in their entire life. Or if you're somebody with like maybe not necessarily you need to have this, but it probably is beneficial to, you know, if you have a background where you understand how like electricity works, knowing how to apply a violet wand and the mechanics behind it probably are more intuitive than somebody who, like me, doesn't really know how electricity happens. Other than it's related to magnets. We're not going to get into that again. We we've covered it before. But I think what helps me in that scenario, because like I feel the same way sometimes, like I've been in the community for like 10 years. I have things that I see other people do that I'm like, I absolutely cannot fucking do that. I don't have the skill set for that. I don't even know where to begin. They're doing more intense scenes for me, playing for longer, doing XYZ thing that either I wish I could do or I just know that I couldn't do, and that like makes me feel sad. The thing that has helped me get through those moments is like, one, like focusing and remembering the fact that it's not necessarily about obtaining a certain skill level. It's about like, am I getting to my goals? Am I reaching towards what I eventually want to be able to do? And being on that path is what's important, not necessarily comparing myself to where other people are at. And then I think also as well, understanding that like everyone has their own journey, and that as long as you're pursuing what you want authentically, like it doesn't really matter what other people are doing. Like, yes, playing in dungeons is fun, and like especially if you're a dom or a top, if you have a perceivably like lower skill level than somebody else, like there are going to be bottoms who prefer to play with more experienced people. I think there can be pain in that. That's totally legitimate, because hey, why am I not worth playing with just because I don't know how to like suspend somebody by like one toe, you know? Why did you say the electricity thing faster than I was able to write that down? Because my brain be like that sometimes. The Electro class was very informative. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Electroplay, I've taken a like one class on it before, and they did not get enough into the like mechanics behind it for me. I would have loved to have learned more about how the shit works, but unfortunately they did not, in fact, teach me how the shit works. That's what they should make. They should make instead of doing how it's made, they should do how this shit works. For actually, I saw a Twitter post of somebody who had taken apart a Hitachi magic wand, and apparently one of the advantages of buying a Hitachi magic wand specifically is at least the components that are in the like the body case of the Hitachi magic wand are actually very easy to self-service if you have some knowledge of circuitry and like mechanical repairs. I don't know about the head unit. I've heard the head unit is harder to pull apart because it's basically like epoxied together. But if you just need some, like, if like the motor and the circuitry parts are apparently like fairly easy to work with. So that's cool. In case you, do you want to jailbreak your Hitachi? I don't know. Can you do that? What would you do if you could jailbreak a Hitachi? I don't know enough about any of that to even theorize what you could possibly do, but I feel like there's something there that you could do. I don't know what evil you could do with a Hitachi to like customize it. Just think about that if you're mechanically inclined as a thing that you could possibly do. I don't know if I would ever do take down a capture. I just have a picture of a sub hanging off me and going, why is there so much of you? I mean, people like that though. Like, I think that there are definitely people that are into the idea of just like, I don't have to work for this super hard. Or like, I don't know if this is actually in a piece of media, but I'm sort of picturing the like sort of being the unmovable boulder and like somebody trying every possible angle to like get a fulcrum and like get leverage and like not being able to like do anything and just sort of exhausting themselves trying to like take you down. And then when they've spent themselves, you're like, okay, you're ready to be obedient now. Are you done? Like, I think sort of being the unmovable boulder in the sea of bratting can be fun in its own way. So there's approaches that can make it work. Be careful, we don't want a Megan situation. I have never watched that, so I don't know. Self-service the wand so you can self-service yourself. I mean, the jokes write themselves. It's easy. It's easy to make a joke with that for sure. All right, so that's sort of, I know that's kind of like lame advice for like how do you deal with other people like seeming to be better than you, but like the idea that I have, I don't know if there is fancier, like sometimes I feel like simple advice is like what's true. Like I can't make it more complicated. I think it's just sticking on your path, having concrete goals that you're working towards, like especially if you can make it kind of incremental of like, okay, I'm learning rope bondage. One day I want to get to suspension. That's like a lot of shit between like not knowing how to tie a single knot and like being able to put somebody fully in the air if that's your goal. But there's a million half steps that could be between point A and point B. And I think it's like developing something where maybe you come up with like, here's specific skills that I want to learn, and giving yourself kind of benchmarks to follow along with, like, oh, see, I am making progress. I am going towards my goal. I'm better than how I was. You know, it's the whole, like, don't compare yourself to other people. Compare yourself to who you used to be. Like, I mean, again, it's cheesy. It's simple. But sometimes there is no way to make it more complicated. It just is what it is. And you can try to go around and make it more complicated, and it's just not going to make it more right or more wrong. When did physics get into my kink? Oh, constantly. It's all over. Physics is everywhere. You cannot escape it. It is everywhere. I figured out the issue is, for me, really, it's the fact that nobody says, hey, let's do a thing because I think you're good at it, hot or confident. Oh, yeah. Not getting that, like, affirmation from people. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I would say that I feel like is valid. I think it's natural to want people who approach us because they like what we're doing, and like not always having to be the pursuer, not always having to make something happen, or feeling like you're sort of a temporary stop until they can find somebody else to play with. Like, that really hurts if you feel like, oh, I'm just being used as like a stepping stone for you to eventually like go off and play with somebody else instead. Also, somebody would just have better circumstances than you if everybody could have a full-on fetish photography business and is an experienced rigger with their own space. They would. I mean, yeah, that too, right? If you're some money matters. You know, money can't buy happiness, but it can help facilitate you having an independent, private, rope bonded studio that allows you to have hot women hang out with you maybe more easily than they otherwise would. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a hell lot of things that can lead to happiness for some people. And yeah, if you have the financial means, the job security, you know, the experience level already, if you're that kind of person, yeah, things are definitely going to be easier. But it doesn't mean that you aren't valuable. It just means that other people have more advantages, and it sucks. But, you know, what can you do about it? Solve capitalism, I guess. I don't know. Maybe get working on that. Maybe we could fix it that way. All right. So that was Nathan's question, and then I think we had. Oh yes, we had one from Psycho Salad. Okay. I recently had a few interactions in my local kink community and realized I should find ways to give back. I can elaborate more in chat. Okay, if you want to, definitely go ahead. I'll be looking out for that. I guess I will treat this as a question of like, how can I give back to my community? Which is a great question. I love that. That's so great. So how can you give back to your local community? There's, depending on what your community's needs are, I mean, the most obvious thing right now, I think I might have hiccups. We'll see if that fixed it. Did I just mind over matter myself out of not having hiccups anymore? Kind of. Do I have a superpower? Maybe. I also can mind over matter myself out of being ticklish too. I don't know. I don't know what that means about my brain. I don't know if that means anything about my brain. So how can you give back to your community? Number one is asking community organizers what they need most. What in general a lot of places need help with is furniture construction, just general management of play spaces is almost always helpful for people. They, like, kink spaces are held together with donations and masking tape and a little bit of glue. Like, they are entirely made by a labor of love, and so that usually means there's something funky going on with the electrical, or there's something that needs to be repaired on the cross, or there's painting that needs to be done somewhere, or they need help maybe doing something else like physically around event spaces that usually gets put off because people don't have the skill set to be able to do that. So if you have any kind of manual labor skills or construction skills, electrical work, plumbing, anything like that, just plain old DIY stuff, that actually can be really helpful. It's probably the number one thing that people will do. I'm fairly inexperienced with kink in general, and I'm not the most connected with the people in the community, even though I have a couple dozen on my friends list on FetLife. Yeah, and I think like volunteering and like offering your time is a great way to meet people. So it not only like helps your community and like I want to give back because I'm grateful for the events that they put on. You can do it for that reason, but you can also do it because you like want to meet people, and like if you have a skill set, you can like DM maybe the owner of a local dungeon venue, or maybe you can, if your local dungeon has like a group on FetLife, you can even just post and be like, how can I pitch in? How can I help out? And you can say, hey, I have these skills, and like list them out. Are those necessary? How can I help with this space? Is there anything that like needs to be done? That's a big one. If you are not necessarily skilled with manual labor stuff, there's still a lot that can be done to help event spaces that people like don't always think about. Like that could be like designing social media materials for advertising events. It could be maybe you put together a like Discord chat for your local community and maybe you help moderate it. It could be helping out with like regular office things. Maybe you help with like laundry. Like that's a big one too. If you have an event space where they give people towels or covers or sheets to have as a barrier between them and play surfaces, like there's laundry that needs to be done. And if you can just like volunteer to take a load of laundry back after like the Friday night dungeon party, that's really helpful. Or maybe it's helping with like stocking snacks for the next dungeon party. Like, you know, if you like cooking or baking, you don't necessarily have to do that. If you're willing to just spend $20 on like a party platter from, you know, the grocery store, fine. But if you also like cooking and baking, a lot of places also like they wouldn't begrudge a allergen friendly chocolate chip cookie, or a pub mix, or Muddy Buddies, or like just little snacky things that people can eat on when they're at the venue. But obviously, I think, you know, I will advocate personally, though a lot of venues don't care about this. I know a lot of venues that like the snacks they offer are like mixed nuts and like fruit snacks and juice boxes, and those are fine. However, if you're a vegan with like nut allergies, might not be able to have a snack at the dungeon. But, you know, I advocate for being inclusive by default, being allergen friendly. You can also buy like for snacks, if you're willing to spend a little bit more money, you can get allergen friendly snacks, usually in smaller amounts at the grocery store, because a lot of schools, if you want to bring in something for like a kid's birthday or just to like have treats for the class, they require you to bring in food that's certified as being free of like common allergens, because food allergies are so common now, especially among younger people, that like you cannot be bringing in something that has one of the like top 8 or like top 10 allergens in it. I have a basic education in welding. What I want more than anything is to be able to feel useful and wanted, but I live 30 to 40 minutes away from the city my community is in. I mean, I would say that that's probably like, that's not impossible to do, maybe like a weekend a month of doing something. Like, I guess it depends on what your job schedule is like, but I think that's doable. It's doable. Maybe not ideal, but doable. I am an autistic man and spend my entire life isolated with video games, so I struggle to interact with people, and I don't have anyone who bothers to talk to me consistently. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But the good news is, the Kink community, full of people with autism, full of neurodivergent people. Honestly, like, I don't know how big your community is, or... Oh, crap, did the stream just disconnect for a second? Oh, here, let me refresh. Are we okay? Chat, we good? I think we're okay. I think we survived. On YouTube, it's a little bit more dicey if I disconnect. Are we good? Okay, no, we're good. Okay, excellent. Okay, great. Lots of autism in the community. Beneficial if you are also autistic. And 2, that I was actually wonder, I don't know how big your community is, but like maybe starting a like online group or like a server for neurodivergent people in your community to just like play video games together. That could be great. If you're just like, hey, I want to start like a Steam group. I don't know if that's a thing on Steam, like a Discord group or a Steam group or something, just for people who are neurodivergent, like want to play games together. Like, hell, that could be great. Like low maintenance potentially, depending on what's in there, and maybe just find somebody who likes playing the same video games as you, and so you don't necessarily even have to drive to go do stuff. But I would be shocked if there's not a need for volunteers. If it's a big enough community and they put on events enough, they will need somebody somewhere, whether it's checking people in or doing the laundry or like doing something around the event. It's just a matter of like looking for where that's needed and then how much time you want to be able to put into it. So again, volunteering your time is a great thing to do. Highly recommend it. But I'd probably just do some searching first and just see what's out there. Virtue of autism and being introverted, I've acquired almost all the skills you mentioned to at least some degree. That is one of the good things, is yes, you can walk in with a lot of skills, and then like yeah, I mean, I think it's very wholesome that you like want to be helpful, and there's lots of other people in the community that are also that way. And even if it's just helping out for like a special one-time event, and maybe they don't do really regularly, that gets you with the foot in the door. And sometimes that's all you need, is the foot in the door of somebody seeing, hey, that person has skills or they're helpful. Like, doesn't matter. They'll take care of it. Did you say welding? Yeah, somebody got welding skills. I mean, I know lots of people that like weld. Well, not lots of people. I know a couple people who do welding and like make furniture out of like metal pipes and stuff. Like that's a thing that you can do. And there are lots of little fiddly metal bits on even like made to order furniture pieces that, you know, might be worse for wear. Could use a little bit of repair work done on them. And, you know, hey, maybe you're the person, maybe there's a St. Andrew's cross that kind of wobbles a little bit back and forth, and maybe you're the guy who can come in there and like fix it up and make it so it doesn't like wibble a little bit too much anymore. There are 2 play party events with separate organizers, first Friday and Saturday of the month. There are also rope events, but they didn't feel right. Fair. I want to do more than those events every month. Oh, well, I mean, that's a good place to start. Yeah, I mean, if you did, I like, you know, wouldn't hurt to ask and see if they need volunteers. They might have something on their FetLife page or on their website if they have a website, in their group. Even if they don't have something, you can always just ask. Send an email, FetLife group message, FetLife group post. Like, you might even ask the people you already know in your local area. Like, if you do a FetLife test that's like, hey, I'd love to help out more. Like, does anyone know of a place that like needs help with something? Like, there's always somebody who needs something somewhere. Yeah, if you maintain furniture, you're gonna be like, everyone's gonna be so thankful. They're gonna be like, oh my goodness, you're the guy who fixed the cross. Thank you. They're gonna be so happy. Alrighty. Oh yeah, I can see where there was a little like disconnect moment. Unfortunate, but it happens. Okay, let's get to some more questions. I think I got to all the super chat questions. And now, I'm suddenly curious what percentage of the Bayonetta fandom is actual Kinksters. A non-zero amount. But there's a lot of people who are Bayonetta fans who I think are just gooners, so like some of those people aren't necessarily kinky. All right, going back up in the chat, we will get to some more questions. And let's see where we end up. I want to write some novels. This is from Raphael. I want to write some novels in different genres, and as one selling point in all the novels, I want to put healthy DS in there. How far should I go there? Like, how far with the DS, or how healthy to make it? I mean, so in the realm of novels, right? There's you know, going back to your literature 101 course, there are 3 sources of conflict that generally occur in books, right? Man versus man, man versus nature, man versus self. And a lot of romance novels take the man versus man approach, i.e. there's relationship conflict that occurs, whether it's, you know, one person's really avoidant and distant, one person's really clingy, one person has a trauma history, one person has big secrets they're hiding. Like, that's the source of the tension in the book, is that. And I think instead of having that be the sole conflict source, you could look at, again, maybe not man versus nature and like you're fighting the wilderness way, but like society. like societal expectations, like family or like job conflict, or the self-direction of overcoming like shame and guilt. I actually think it could be really powerful if the source of conflict that gets resolved in the book is like, okay, you have this like loving, supportive relationship. Although I think this like psychologically is maybe more difficult to write, but it would be very satisfying if you could pull it off, would be, okay, instead of the source of conflict being the relationship itself, maybe the relationship has conflict, but like the relationship has conflict because of the person's insecurities or their shame or their guilt, and through the relationship and through like being part of the community and having a like supportive friend network, maybe they learn to overcome that shame through the course of the series or the novel, and then there's like a happy resolution, and then like you see the growth, but it's not because like the couple's fighting all the time, or like somebody violates boundaries, or like doesn't respect consent or something like that. So I think making it as maximally healthy as possible. And I know with, hey, I don't write in that field as a profession. My understanding is, especially that kind of genre fiction, there's a lot of expectations that people have that they like need to see in order to entertain like buying a novel. So if you don't have all of the like toxic alpha male fucking tropes in there, there's probably going to be a reduction in the audience size, just because they're like, I think I've talked about this on like the Tuesday streams before. There are people who enjoy reading because they enjoy like new worlds and new perspectives and interesting stories and like following somebody through a whole journey, and that's like really rewarding. There's other people who read because it allows them to turn their brain off and like quiet things inside of their mind, and they don't want something unexpected and they don't want anything challenging because they're not using reading as an informational learning process. They're using it as essentially like junk TV shows for your brain. Like, it's reality television. It's the 900th episode of Real Housewives of Miami or whatever the fuck. Like, there's lore, there's expectations, like you're getting what you come for. And if suddenly one day you turn down Real Housewives of Miami and it was an educational seminar about mental wellness, you'd be like, what the fuck this is not my comfort show. What is happening? And so some people just read to not be challenged, and you'll probably like lose those people if you go too far afield. But I do like the idea of like sort of turning tropes on their head, or coming at it from an unexpected direction, or doing the tropes that are there, like the wealthy do with the expensive cars, but like doing it in a non-conventional way. Like, okay, he's a millionaire, but it's not because he like owns a really big business. It's like, because his uncle was super wealthy and he passed away and left all this money to him, and he actually feels really guilty about it and like is overwhelmed by it, and like actually like tries to hide their money and is like ashamed by it. Like, I think that there's ways to kind of give that of like, okay, yes, he can still buy you the expensive presents and the plane ticket and the luxury vacations, but also like he's not just like, I'm swinging my dick around, look at all my money. Like, you can do it differently. So I don't know if that helps necessarily with that part of it, but the portion of that's like, what do you do for the DS portion of it? Like, maybe how far do you go with that? For fiction, I'm the latter. For nonfiction, I'm the former. Yeah. What was the other thing? Oh yes, the DS part of it. I mean, you can really go any direction you want with that. I've not that I've read a lot of, in recent years at least, I haven't read a lot of the newer published kink or kink adjacent erotica on the landscape, but I've seen everything from like total power exchange, MS, getting taken away to a mountain retreat to have your entire body shaved head to toe and then be branded, all the way over to like, we have a mostly conventional relationship, but then when we have sex they put their hands around me or whatever. Like, like you could do it a whole bunch of different ways, and it doesn't necessarily have to like look any one way. You're gonna get people. I would say it's more popular to do like DS light or like sexually focused DS over like a whole relationship structure that permeates everyday life. But you could approach it any way you want. There's going to be people that want to read the whole spectrum, as far as I can tell. I want to see this one because it's going to be real quick, and I just saw it. What is a good way to get started with Shibari if there aren't classes locally? And I'll put a link to it in the chat. My favorite resource is Shibari Study, and they have a bunch of online classes. It's definitely more like intermediate to advanced focus, but there's also beginner stuff on there as well. But Shibari Study is a great resource, and I like them specifically because they offer video classes, and I think that's valuable. There's lots of resources online for picture-based tutorials, and even here on YouTube, there's people who will do free videos as well. But I think if you're looking for like an all-in-one, highly produced, one-stop shop, get like a month of Shibari Study, just like see how you like it, follow through on those classes, and then hopefully at some point I would also look for virtual classes that are live on FetLife. I don't know of I know Shibari Study will do live stuff occasionally, but I think they mostly do like demonstrations live, not like interactive classes. But I would look on FetLife for virtual Shibari classes. Those were a little bit, like remote virtual Shibari classes were a little bit more common during the pandemic, but you can still find them now. And if you can find a way where you can do like a virtual tie-along, it'll be kind of similar to an in-person class where you'll like share your Zoom screen or whatever format they're using, and then your instructor can see what you're tying, and you can get like feedback from them like while in the class. That's a potential thing. Again, less common, but a possibility. But yeah, it's none of those are really going to be a one-to-one replacement for in-person instruction. But if you don't have anything else, like just kind of stick to lower risk level stuff, really practice. You can also join like online groups and like post in them and like ask people for feedback about like, hey, does this look okay? Am I like tying this correctly? Like, you can definitely like find other ways to interact with the community virtually and online in a way that might be easier. I don't like to write realistic, healthy DS, to be honest. That's what real life is for. I like to tap into the dark energy of unhinged shampoo fantasy. Oh no, I totally get you on that. I'm like of two minds. I either want to write the most like weird demonic shit imaginable that like is like really like has like, you know, magic systems and like stuff like that, or I need it to be like very realistic. And the educator side of my brain says I want to write the realistic, ultimately healthy by the end of it DS relationship. Because I think even I did talk about, you know, okay, man versus man and man versus nature, blah, blah, blah. I think you can still have man versus man conflict as long as it doesn't repeat itself throughout the whole series and like isn't abusive. Because I think you can have non-abusive intra-relationship conflict. That does not mean that people like shouldn't be together, because most relationships have some kind of conflict or misunderstandings or different values, and then they work it out over time. So I think you can play with that, but I think like showing the process of like, especially people are like battling their own demons, like how do you get to a healthy relationship, you know, from a realistic starting point that's not like abused billionaire takes his mommy issues out on his secretary or whatever the fuck, right? But yeah, I think the other part of my brain is just like, write the weird shit. Write the weird stuff. Go for it. But you know, I have to live with the amount of hours in the day that I have to do what I can do at the present moment. That's how I feel about most representation. I like my characters to be broadly like bad people. The easiest way to make me love a character is to make them an obsessive bastard. I mean, yeah, you know, and I'm not like, so I'm not against like bad boys or like toxic relationships in kink erotica in general. I think the issue is just that that's like the default, and most people who are writing those kinds of things in their novels like don't know that much about kink and aren't part of the community, and so it kind of comes across that they sort of think BDSM itself sort of inherently only attracts toxic or abusive people. And I would just love it if I could read a singular popular romance novel which didn't have like 10,000 red flags before the end of the book, whether it be like having sex with somebody who's 20 years younger than you and like is employed by you, or the big thing that happens in kink novels actually isn't necessarily age gap stuff or even outright like conventional like domestic violence, whatever the fuck that means. It's situations where you have like a total fish out of water, like no clue like what the hell BDSM even is, like meet some fucking guy somewhere in an elevator, they have a little meet cute, and then she's like, what does BDSM stand for? What do the words you're using mean? Bible discussion and study group? What is that? Or whatever the fuck it is. I mean, it's study meeting. I'm sorry, study meeting? Like, just complete doe-eyed, clueless, knows nothing about anything, somehow has not been on the internet in the last 20 years. Doesn't know what a clitoris is. Has never had an orgasm before in her life. Like, doesn't masturbate. Like, just like puritanical Virgin Mary ass lady. That's a person that technically exists somewhere in the world, but that's like they put that person and they like accidentally end up in a dungeon, or they meet somebody who ends up being kinky and then they get like thrust into the lifestyle because they have sex one time and it's like super kinky and there's like no real negotiation, and the top just, which is almost always a man, it just like intuits like, I just knew from the way you reacted that you wanted me to tie you up, and like I just knew from the way that your body moved that this is what would make you come. Like, please calm down. It's unnecessary. I would just like it if there was a novel where this is my plan, this is my OC, don't steal. I'm kidding. My goal is to eventually, if I get around to doing this, is like writing a story where the person who's submissive, and even the dominant too, but it's kind of more expected. Or I could flip it on its head. I can make it be like a completely new dom who's like learning the ropes from an experienced sub. But I like the idea of starting with an experienced submissive who maybe was like in the lifestyle for like a couple of years when she was younger, and then like maybe had like a bad relationship that kind of soured her on the whole experience. Then she like moved for a job and just like got way too busy and like never got back into it. And now it's been like 5 years, 10 years, and she's like, I'm ready to get back into it. I'm ready to try and trust and love again. And it's about that moment of, okay, I have memories, I have experience here. This is not my first time at the orgasm rodeo or the rope bondage rodeo. Like, I have some knowledge about something. I'm just going like, what does BDSM stand for? What do you mean a sub? Like a sandwich? I just hate that as like the universal thing. Yeah, big dog snuggling me. I love it when big dogs snuggle me. I love dogs. How do you know that? I have 3 big dogs at home. Yeah. Any queer kink novel recommendations, possibly lesbian? None that I can think of from the top of my head. Although my instinct just said, what's the I forget the name of the vampire one. What's the vampire one? Is it Carmilla? Yeah, Carmilla. Does that count? Does Carmilla count? Is the Bible discussion and study meeting thing real? I mean, we joke about it. I don't know if it's like real. But it's a thing. I've seen lots of people that have shirts that have all different flavors of like, yeah, I'm into BDSM, and then it's like Bible discussion, study meeting, you know, beautiful dogs surrounding me. My favorite is just when it says, and I would love to do a shirt that has like, okay, we've talked before about like the flaming skull memes. And like the certain 90s Lisa Frank Dolphin memes. Like, I want to do one of those where it says like, yeah, I'm into BDSM, and it actually just says, yeah, I'm into BDSM, and then it says BDSM underneath each part of it. It just says in really small font to that, like, parentheses, I'm kinky. Like, I just think that would be really funny. Because it is like it's taking the piss out of people who take the piss out of BDSM. It circles all the way back around. It's just like, nah, I am what I am. But also doesn't, like, I don't want to necessarily have it say, like, bondage and discipline and dominance and sadism mission. Like, I don't want it to necessarily say that. I just think it would be really funny if it just said BDSM 4 times in a row. Oh my god, Sunstone! Yes! Sunstone, yes. Yes, that's like the gold standard. That's the be all end all. If you're gonna like reference anything, It's very telling that it also includes 2 women, though, doesn't it? Oh, the author's a man. So, yeah, hey, he gets the pass for knowing how to write women, kind of, in a non-offensive way. I'm starting the checklist series. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Sounds like a thing that could be kinky. All right. More questions. Let's talk about questions. Let's answer some questions. Talking about the wax play class. What is up? I just joined. Oh, we're good. Talking about kinky novels. Talking about writing novels and stereotypes. It's fun stuff. It's a good conversation. I like it. And also lesbian BDSM erotica. And where to find it, because I don't know. I haven't looked. I agree with Sybil. I try to shift from comparing myself to others to comparing myself to past me. I think people call this master irritation or something. Oh, interesting. Okay, I didn't know there was like a word for it. I just thought that was like a thing people. There's just like a thing like TED Talk people said, you know? Oh, that's great. I love it. I'll have to look that up later too, because I'm very interested in that as a concept. Because I'll oftentimes say in my classes that, like, I think it's a good idea to, like, give the submissive things that they can gain a sense of mastery over. Because I think that does help with your self-esteem and your confidence and your overall well-being. Humans like feeling they're good at something. My instructor makes his own attachments for the violet wand and explained its use instead of focusing on the mechanics of the toy itself. Ah, okay. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I recently saw your video about autism/ADHD and kink. My dom actually realized partly through playing with me that she's autistic too. I have many such cases. It happens. Especially female dominance. I find a lot, like, I feel like if there's any one group in the community that's like really disproportionately neurodivergent, it's dominant and top women. Like, it's just, I don't know any dominant top woman. You can't have all three. Dominant top women cannot be straight. They cannot be neurotypical. I don't know what the third thing is. I have to think of that later. But they definitely can't be both cishet and neurotypical. It just doesn't happen. I'm mostly kidding, of course, obviously, but am I? But am I kidding? Someone I really fancy was tying with someone she works with a lot, and the last time I saw her after a scene, she was not happy, didn't even dare to do anything, but now she left. Oh no, that's so sad. Oh, I hope she's okay. Hopefully it was just after scene feels. I mean, things go wrong sometimes, but that sucks. That would be really hard to witness. I could mind over matter myself to not laugh at don't laugh challenges. Makes those challenges not fun for me since I'm too good at them. Yeah, I do that too, and I'm pretty sure that's called dissociating. I feel like, as I'm talking about, like, yeah, I can mind over matter myself out of hiccups and out of laughing. I think that's just called disassociating. I think that's what that's called. Oops, disassociated. Well, hey, if I'm gonna do it anyways, I might as well use it to my advantage in some respect, right? Talking about volunteering in the community. Let me know before you answer so I can write it down, please. All right, F, here's your requested warning. I am now about to answer your question. Your question is being answered. Red alert. All right, now I'm going to read your question. It says ways to torture. I'm gonna guess that means torture. What are good ways to torture with food? Someone told me about ginger today, but I can't remember what else. Let me know before you answer before you can write. Okay, yeah. There's so many possibilities. Okay, so the ginger thing you heard is probably figging. I have a video about that on my channel. Go to my channel page after the stream. Go to the search bar, type in figging. It should hopefully pop up. Or you can just search on YouTube, BDSM 101 figging. It'll pop up. And that is where you put a peeled piece of raw ginger in somebody's orifice, usually the vagina or the anal cavity. And then that produces effects for torture. The next most common thing you'll see is peppers. like just all kinds of things with peppers. People will do, I think, like something with like a capsaicin extract in it. Like they'll do some kind of like muscle rub with capsaicin in it, and they'll put it over people's genitals, for example. I would be careful about getting that. I don't have a lot of education in this, so like take this with a grain of salt. But I would be careful about getting that around the urethra, because I feel like anytime you're putting a foreign substance, especially a food or a skincare product or anything else, around a urethra, that is a good way to get a UTI, which most people probably don't want to have. So people will do like some kind of muscle rub around the genitalia, or they will do something like literally with a whole pepper. And most peppers, right? Maybe I'm saying most because I don't know for sure if it's all, but most peppers have the majority of their spice in the seeds. So what you can do is you can like make your partner hold a pepper in their mouth and like force them to like bite down into it, or you can even like cut it partly open and then like force them to like hold it in their mouth. You could also do something similar with an onion as well, that kind of produces more of like a crying effect, not really like a pain from, you know, hot spicy food. But if you grow your own onions, or if you go to a farmer's market, I don't know why this is, but the homegrown onions seem to be much more tear producing than onions that are just like from your local grocery store chain. So I would get one of those, and I would cut it up, and you could put it in your partner's mouth, and then that can cause them to cry. Other types of like food torture stuff would be like wasabi. I feel like people don't really utilize that one too much, but it is something that you can use. General other spicy stuff like outside of peppers. I sort of think of my favorite example, because I'm a younger millennial, but I grew up with, you know, SpongeBob being a pretty big part of my life. So for me, that means like, you know, the hot sauce SpongeBob thing of like, you know, getting his tongue like pulled out and then being like one drop of this like hot sauce that's really, really hot. And he's like the one like volcano evil drop, like dropping onto his tongue. Like having that kind of moment where you're like, we went out to the store today and you saw me buy this like really, really spicy hot sauce that I would like never otherwise eat on food ever. And now you're gonna like, you know, tie me up and then, you know, maybe force my tongue out with like there's like gags and stuff that you can get that make it so you can't like retract your tongue all the way back into your mouth. You know, and then make them have a single drop of hot sauce like directly under their tongue. So torture with food is multifaceted. I would also say you could probably do stuff with like, I feel like people don't do this, but this is like an option that you could maybe explore if you want to be real creative with it, is like food that has like a spiky exterior or like a lot of texture, right? Like a pineapple, or like certain tropical fruits that'll have like a tough skin or a really thick rind on them that's textured and spiky. Like you can use that for impact play. Like you can do that. Like no one says you can't tenderize your bottom with a pineapple, or pineapple leaves for that matter. Those fuckers are sharp, right? Like imagine if you're doing a station play scene and then somebody like uses pineapple like leaves the same way that you would of like a feather duster, right? And it's like, you know, sharp and prickly and pokey. I think that's also like, is that really torture? You can use it on somebody's feet. Has anybody on planet Earth ever done this before? Has anybody on planet Earth ever done bastinado using pineapple leaves? Has anyone done foot torture using a pineapple? Did I invent this? Is this a thing? And there's also the psychological part of it too. It's not just necessarily the physical properties of the food itself, but if you have somebody that has a food they think is like disgusting, like tomatoes. A lot of people hate tomatoes. That's a big one. Whether it's like making them hold a tomato in their mouth, or like preparing a dish for them with like sliced tomatoes on it and like forcing them to eat it. Like, why don't you want to eat my burger? I thought you liked my food. And like, you know, forcing them to consume a tomato. You could do things like that. I've heard I took a class the other day where somebody talked about like having their friend hold like cherry tomatoes in their mouth until they started to like bite down on them by accident, so they could feel like the squishiness of the like cherry tomatoes bursting in their mouth, which I found to be really gross and disgusting. But I'm a little bit hesitant about that just from like a choking hazard perspective, but that could be an option as well. Yeah, just don't throw. I should be clear. Yeah, don't lob projectiles at somebody. Well, I don't know. Maybe if it's like a small lemon, that's, you know, okay. If you're throwing a lemon at somebody's butt, you're okay. But yeah, don't. This is not. You're not turning our submissive partner into like a batting cage experience. I guess unless they're properly padded and shielded up, maybe you could make it work. But no, I'm not saying you should throw coconuts at anybody or pineapples or anything really heavy duty. But you know, maybe if you want to gently toss a lemon at their butt, you could softball toss a lemon on their butt if you wanted to. Oh, lemons! That's a good one too. Making somebody hold a cut lemon in their mouth. Or like a cut grapefruit. Although obviously be careful with like medication interactions and grapefruit exposure. Also, a lot of people can have sensitivities to grapefruit in general, so just be aware of that. There's something that's like more onerous than a lemon. What's the worst kind of lemon? Like, what's the most sour kind of lemon? I feel like if you get one that has like a really thick rind and like a really thick pith on it, like that's probably like one of the citrons, like one of the ornamental citrons that people like generally don't eat raw would probably be good for this. Because you know what? You can't just do a regular lemon. If you're going to torture somebody with lemon, you got to get the most torturous lemon possible. So many possibilities. So many things to do. Yep, food fight stuff, wet and messy play, gunge, lots of words for it. Definitely an element that you can bring into your scene for sure. Absolutely. Airsoft pistols are fun for projectiles as long as you don't go for the face. I have never been around or interacted with airsoft before, so I have no comment on that. But you know, hey, it's your life, it's your risk profile. Fine. Oh, so you want to tell me that throwing coconuts at somebody is dangerous? I know, how dare I? I'm kink shaming your coconut kink, aren't I? How dare I? I'm wondering how the fuck we domesticated fruit. Time and effort. Yeah, what is the most lemon of all lemons? Oh, you could throw a lemon at somebody. Safety glasses would be good. Yeah, I mean, safety glasses, if you're going to throw anything at anybody, whether it's a food product or not, safety glasses I feel like is a good way to go. I'll even wear, like if somebody's practicing throwing a whip, I'll wear safety glasses for that too. Because fuck it, I need my eyeballs. And if you want to practice whips on me and I'm like, if you're going to go anywhere near my upper back, even like the safety glasses are going on. I'm not risking my eyeball for you to practice your kink on a live target, all right? We use personal protective equipment in this household. Or be like my friends and I, where we once put on a Master Chief helmet and shot Nerf guns at our faces. That's funny. I like that. That'd be a good, like, kinky camping activity. Maybe not necessarily like a Master Chief thing. You could probably do that. You could do that with like Star Wars. You could do it with all different kinds of helmets. I like that idea though of having like a kinky like Nerf gun in the woods battle. I mean, does it even really have to be kinky at that point, or is it just like kinky people doing things with kinky people? I want to know what the platonic ideal of a lemon is. What is the most egregious of all lemons? What's the most bitter? I guess there's bitter and then there's sour. There's sort of two aspects of what makes a lemon a lemon. There's like the upfront sour, and then there's the bitter from the pith. And I think if you gotta like, sour is important, but I think bitter on top of the sour is what elevates it to make it worse. Yeah, did you see lemons? Did you see a shadow of a lemon on a cave at some point? Anyways, that's the extent of my knowledge of Play-Doh. So I don't know how far I can take that joke forward. All right, F, that was your question answered. Hopefully you appreciated it and got to write down all of my various food-themed ideas. I actually rambled about that for longer than I thought I would. There's a lot of ways to play with food. I'm excited about my pineapple idea. I'm excited about the pineapple foot torture. I think that's going to be big. I think we're going to see that. We're going to see that at conventions. I'm gonna bring a pineapple to a camping event and be like, you guys are never gonna guess what I'm gonna do with this. Because everyone's gonna think, are you gonna shove it up somebody's butt? Are you gonna put it in somebody? You're gonna fist somebody with the pineapple? And I'd be like, no, I'm gonna hit somebody with the pineapple. Everyone always, they see fruit and they just think that has to go in a hole somewhere. And it's like, it doesn't actually. You don't need to put the food in a hole. The mouth hole, maybe. The other holes doesn't necessarily need any assistance. You can just leave the food where it is, not in an orifice. Pineapple are spiny and they burn you when unripe. Apparently, the person who said, yep, I'm gonna eat that was desperate. Oh, yeah. Well, keep in mind, pineapples grow like kind of on the ground in like little bushes, and they're very cute. Go Google what a baby pineapple looks like. They're adorable. Somebody looked at that baby pineapple and was like, I'm gonna take you home and adopt you. Because like the big gargantuan like mega pineapples we have, like native like regular pineapples are like orange sized. Like they're not like super big. But you throw that shit on a campfire, you're golden. Just toast that shit up, baby. I don't know if that's what they did that made people want to eat pineapples again later. But you know, hey, you're on an island. You're looking around, you're foraging, you come across a pineapple, you're like, hey, that's fleshy, can I put that in my mouth? Pineapple foot torture was a wild place to pop into the conversation. Well, I live to be unpredictable. I live for that, so I'm glad I could entertain you with the randomness. I am honestly surprised by what I come up with. Listen, I enter streaming mode. I enter a fugue state where I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. And then I'm like, why was my brain this way? And then I realize it's because I'm a sadist. And if you give me an object, I will find a way to torture somebody with it. That is a thing that will happen. Oh, pies! Oh! KO, you're so right. Yes, pies, like getting pelted with pies like clowns. Oh my god. Listen, clown... Oh, I'm gonna write a video about clown roleplay. Oh my god. How have I not done that? Clowns are having a moment. Clowns are in the zeitgeist, people. Sorry if you have a clown phobia. It's here, it's happening. But clowns are so in right now, and... like, if you like white and messy play, if you like clown roleplay, if you like being a little silly, what is more silly than pieing somebody in the face? I mean, we do that for fundraisers for schools. Did anyone have that in school where, like, to raise money for, like, the band trip or whatever, they do, like, a fundraising thing where, like, the teachers would all, like, you know, they'd line up on a dunk tank or something, and then people would, like, throw, I think it was, like, balls at it to get them to get dunked into the water, or they'd get, like, pies in the face or something. Like, that's a time-honored American tradition. Yes, please make I don't know how to pronounce that. Corlov... I'm gonna look this up later. Corlophilia. Why does it look like cornucopia? My brain looks at that and it just scrambles the letters into being cornucopia. And then adds a couple and removes some to make that possible. It also sort of looks like corporophilia, which I think is mostly what I'm thinking about. People discovered how to eat acorns despite them being toxic. Humans are creative. I mean, listen, if you didn't die, it might be fine. The phobia does make it hotter. I'm like saying that unironically, like genuinely, if you have a fear of something. We talked about this already. If you have a fear of something, your brain will sometimes just be like, but what if we made that erotic though, to like cope with the intense emotion? And then you're like, thanks brain, I'm now afraid of clowns and also turned on by them. Also, this is why some people get horny when they watch horror movies, is because they get scared and then their brains are like, but it hot though. And then you're like, why am I getting turned on when I'm watching the serial killer documentary? Brains are like that. I don't know what to tell you. The humans are wonderful, weird, wacky little creatures. Clowns could also tie into monster kink. Oh, yeah, with like sort of the what was the big clown movie that came out? The Stephen King, is it? Pennywise, like a Pennywise type situation where it's not just like a regular clown, but like an evil, demonic, possessed clown. I don't know anything about Pennywise. I'm assuming it's like a demonic, possessed clown situation. I don't actually know, but that's maybe part of it, or like a monster that looks like a clown. I don't know. My clown kink started as clown fear genuinely, haha, but then my friend showed me Pennywise Rule 34, now I'm here. Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? We all have our own ways of dealing with things in life, and that's fine. That's a thing that can happen. In psych, I remember it being called misattribution of arousal. Yes, misattribution of arousal, and then for some things there's like another thing that's called like erotic target location error, though a lot of that stuff is like fairly controversial because a lot of the people that are most associated with it are also associated with like ideas around like autogynephilia and like gynephilia, and the idea that like, you know, one of the theories for explaining why people are trans is because they have like an erotic target location error, which means that they're like erotically turned on by the idea of themselves being a woman as opposed to like other women that exist in space as separate people. And that's a whole thing with a lot of history behind it that I'm not fully familiar with, but there's a lot of psychology stuff that's like, that's a cool idea, and then, oh wait, no, the person who came up with that idea also applied it in some pretty gnarly ways. I do think there are, like with like ABDL, for example, I think there are people, especially people who have like not just a kink for, but like a sexual fetish for some things where like erotic target location error like makes sense as an explanatory mechanism for like how something is happening. He turned into a spider in the movie too. Wow. I haven't seen the movie. I missed that boat entirely. I did not watch it, did not read anything about it, did not read the book. I have no idea what happened. He was a shapeshifter. He also takes the form of a giant spider. Oh, I mean, that's a whole other thing too. Spiders. Bugs in general, cockroaches. There's not a lot of like cockroach-based horror movies. You think there'd be more, honestly. Especially the ones that fly. Maybe that was like a 50s thing. Maybe we just like missed that boat. Anyways, let's not dwell on talking about phobias. Gonna get to some more questions. We are here for business, people. We are here for business. Let it never be said that I'm not trying to answer questions, even when I'm talking about other stuff. This is my waiting music. Do you guys like it? Do you like my it's probably conflicting with the background music I have entirely, and that's fine. I can't hear it. I don't know what's going on. My goal with the DS is that it feels right in the story, so the DS shouldn't be unexpected or too teaching. It should feel healthy, realistic, and be tangible for the average person. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that's a very reasonable goal to have. I think if it slowly gets introduced, the way that a lot of people get into it obviously is through like bedroom stuff, and then being like, hey, but what if we tried not doing it in the bedroom and just like saw how that felt for a little bit? Like there's definitely ways you can like baby step it into the book for sure and have it not just be like a preachy thing. Yeah. Honestly, it makes you think about the utility of using itching powder for play in a BDSM context, and yes, bug bites on the feet suck. Oh, like anti-itching powder or something that makes people feel itchy? Is there a thing that does that? Probably a lot of things, actually. But anti-itching powder, I mean, it's a thing. You can do it. Anyone reading / previously read any good DS novels? I think we already went over Sunstone. I think that's the main recommendation that I would have from the top of my head would be Sunstone. I have a completely different question. How do you not explode from the cuteness of your dog? Exposure. I've built up a tolerance. At first, it was really hard not to explode, so I had to take her in small doses, and now I've just like been around her long enough to where I can like be around her for long periods and then like not die. But it is hard. Every day I'm on the verge of imploding, exploding, just dying in many different ways, actually. Even just looking at her now, she's so cute. I love her so much. She's been having a lot more energy lately. I think she loves the summer. We have lots of bunnies outside right now, and she's loving it. She is spending all day. I don't know why this is like making me teary-eyed. I think I'm just really happy for her because she's older, and so when I see her have more energy, I'm like, yay. But she's been loving being outside and watching the bunnies all day. If the bunnies are outside, she's out there and she's watching from her high perch. It's so cute. My love for clowns started with collecting vintage clown dolls. Oh, the little porcelain ones? Oh, wow. That totally gave me a blast from the past on that one. Or just like, I guess general. I guess it don't necessarily have to be old. Alrighty. Gotta trust people to have media literacy at some point. The queer media literacy we talked about. just rearrange each letter of the acronym. Yeah. Related, but I also love the joke acronym of MILF equal man I love frogs. I've never heard that one before. That one's good too. Man, you could have F be like so many things too. You could be like, man, I love Fanta. Man, I love Funko Pops. Man, I love Funyuns. Yeah, that's a good one. I think Funyuns is funny. Man, I love Funyuns. Because I can picture it too, like a bright yellow shirt with like a picture of like knockoff off-brand Funyuns and then being like, MILF, man, I love Funyuns. Like the kind of thing you would expect to see at a gas station. Like just perfect, just culturally amazing. Honestly, if there was a story in which a dom is just constantly trying to keep up with the crazy ideas their sub comes up with and it ends up with so much random. I mean, I think that could be, I hope she, yeah, that sounds fun. I would like to play with that. Hope she's okay too. I sent her a private message. However, she was really a person being tied topless and the room was crowded. Maybe have going complete out from the start. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I just sort of being cognizant and aware of the fact that sort of you're in a different state from other people around you. Yeah, that could be tough. Well, I hope she's okay. I'll be keeping her in my thoughts in general. And I love bad people. Best version would be a manipulative sub who is the process uses up their dom before moving on to the next one. Oh, like a praying mantis. I like that as like a role reversal, like a femme fatale submissive. I like that. That could be fun. And then the hard-boiled private detective dom. That's like the one who finally like gets through to them. That could be. I could see that being an interesting genre mashup. Putting BDSM in between crime, film, noir situations. Also, people getting into rope as a rigger. Rope bunnies often do not speak out due to fear of being passive. Or being passed over, rather. Being passed over by inexperienced dom. If riggers take shortcuts, it can go bad. Oh, yes. Yeah. That's a big thing. A lot of people won't say anything. They'll talk about it maybe in private afterwards of like, hey, this like didn't go well. But you're so vulnerable when you're tied up that it's hard to say something in the moment and be like, hey, buddy, you're fucking up. Because a lot of people, like, especially if it's something outside of their control, then like maybe they would take feedback for it. Okay, you'd hope. But a lot of people, if it's something that they fucked up, they can have a lot of trouble admitting that and like not blaming everything else under the sun. Oh, it was the lighting. Oh, it was, I used a different like rope today. Oh, I haven't tied here before. Like they'll just come up with any old thing to like not actually say it was them tying outside of their skill level or going too quick enough. Or they'll just like shame you. Well, my other bottoms can also do this tie. Well, people I normally play with can last that tie for like 5 more minutes. Like, again, it's just all bullshit. It's all so dumb. Like, I don't care if you've done this tie 100 times before. I don't care if your other bottoms can be in this for an hour. I don't care if you've never had nerve damage happen before in somebody else. I don't care. Just I'm in charge of my own body. I can physically feel what's happening in my body in a way that you literally never can. So how about when I say, hey, I have 2 minutes left, take me down, or get ready to take me down, I'm done. You just do that. Because, yeah, the competition with rope bunnies or rope bottoms in general is like how much you can endure somebody's shitty rope. That's the barometer. Like, is it painted as like, oh, who can be the most bomb-proof? Who's the most like bomb-proof is in like, you know, they can do all kinds of really physically intense ties. They're typically really flexible, typically don't have any like joint issues, health issues that would impede that. Like, yes, that's how it gets talked about. Really what it is it means that if your body is really tolerant, you are more tolerant of somebody not tying specifically to your body and not having that skill. And also, if they fuck up and tie something too tight or too loose or not in the ideal location or not enough wraps or whatever, like you can endure it more than somebody whose body is like more sensitive and generally needs more support than somebody who can like do whatever. And it's not a virtue. Like, yes, doing longer scenes is like more fun, so I guess, okay, maybe that's part of it, but then also you don't have to necessarily get to a suspension, right? If you want to do a long scene, you could spend an hour doing really slow, methodical, complicated ties on the floor before eventually transitioning to a partial suspension or a full suspension. You can make a scene last for longer. That's not just like, all right, let's put a harness on, get you up in the air, boop, boop, boop. Like, the fact that people rush to that, I think, is such a detriment to people's rope bondage experience in general. Unfortunately. All right, 15-minute warning. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Yes, you were at the end of the stream, Henry. There is 15 minutes left. If you would like to ask a question, do it now or wait until next week. Please observe my dog stretching. She is very adorable. And there she goes. Perfect. Nothing has ever been more perfect on this planet. Why is it called figging when it doesn't use figs? Also, I don't need ginger in my butt. I get burning enough already. That's fair. There's a long history of the word figging etymologically, and I think if I just Google it really quickly, it'll probably like give me the lowdown. Oh yes, that's right. It's a misspelling, a respelling of a 19th century word that's called feeging, which is, I don't know if that's actually, maybe they pronounce it figging, but it's Feaguing, feeging, if you will. And I don't know what the etymology of feeging is, but maybe it has something to do with the word for ginger. Let's see if I Google that. Will it tell me? This website is not telling me the etymology for feeg. Where is feeg? Feeg or fig? I guess it is just pronounced fig. Oh, we can blame the Dutch. We can blame the Dutch for this. Here we go. So there's sort of Dutch in general, like whether it be like North Germanic languages, and also Scandinavian. From vegan. V-E-G-E-N, don't know if that's anywhere close to how it's pronounced, from to sweep to strike, or from Middle Dutch to cleanse, which is similarly spelled but V-E-G-H-E-N. So it's like from basically meaning to cleanse something. I don't know, the sweeping is interesting. And also possibly from Proto-Germanic, a Proto-Germanic word that means to make beautiful, which the purpose of figging originally was to give horses a more sprightly appearance when they were being shown or sold, so that way they would be more likely to fetch a higher price, especially if they were older and they were trying to conceal the true age of the horse, or what energy level it had. So I could see that use of being like, oh, it's trying to like adorn something. That makes sense. But yes, there you go. That's a little short, little mini answer on where the figging comes from as a concept, as a word. Instead of blame candidates, blame the Netherlands. I mean, I am always blaming the Netherlands for everything. It is always the Dutch. It always goes back to the Dutch, doesn't it? I have a question. How can I explain to a non-vanilla person, like a family member, how I enjoy being into the kinky lifestyle? Oh, so how do I try to explain you mean a non-kinky family member? Or this family member, I'm assuming you mean non-kinky. Because if they're already not vanilla and you know that, then I don't know what you need to explain. Yes, that's where people become members, is a little bandita cartoon. It's very cute. Oh my gosh, she's numbing right now. She has her little tongue out. Oh my god. I could see that from a mile away. So how do you explain to a vanilla person in your family that you enjoy being in the kinky lifestyle? One, you don't have to. I think it's really important to remember, choose your battles. There are going to be people, especially if they are very conservative and religious and have a different value set from you, that no matter what you say, can never be convinced that what you are doing is okay or safe or will get you into heaven or whatever it is they're concerned about. Some people just do not want to hear about that stuff and like will never be convinced that it's okay. So be very careful about who you open up to. If you have a family member or you're around people in your life who are really conservative, really religious, like are generally not like sexually open people themselves, I would not even try to broach this conversation. It is not worth it. But if you have a family member that you're generally pretty open towards, who is a generally like accepting person, maybe they're more liberal, you know, maybe they, you know, are accepting of like gay and trans people. Maybe you grew up with them and you had a relationship with them from early on where you could be open with them about like, you know, dating and relationships and all that. And if you have somebody in your life who is like more open to these conversations, like I would say the best thing to do is I would introduce it as like a, hey, like I'm going to this event next weekend. I just want to make sure that you like knew that I was going. Like, can you check in with me like after I get back? And they're like, oh, what's the event for? And you can say, oh, just keep it really casual. And you'd be like, oh, I'm going to a kink party. And then they can ask questions if they have questions. Like, I would not treat it as like a coming out, deep confession. Here's like a part of my soul thing. I don't think that works out well most times. I think just casually introducing it as like, this is a thing I'm doing as part of my life. Not presenting it as an opportunity to have a debate about it or argue whether or not you should go or act a certain way or do whatever, but it leaves the door open for them to be able to ask questions, and then you know that they know. But I gotta be honest, I don't really see any value in getting to that with a family member. I just don't think this is something that you need to talk about with family members. I don't think there's any like, unless you have a really solid relationship, like maybe it's your mom and they're really supportive and like they're really liberal and like don't give a fuck, in which case like you probably don't really need my advice. It's just saying like, you know, if you're going away for a weekend to do something, you're not available on a Friday night, when they want to do something with you, you can just say, oh yeah, I'm going to a kink party. And they're like, oh, what's that? You can say, oh, it's this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. And then you can talk about it, and that's that. But otherwise, I really don't think you need to talk to your vanilla friends and family about it. The returns on that are minimal. Minimal. I think telling friends about it, so that way maybe you can have a support system for things, makes sense, but not family members. I just don't. That's outside of my risk profile, maybe, let's say. Yeah, if you act normal, they're going to follow your lead. Yeah. If you treat it like a deep, dark confession, they're going to be like, oh my God, this is life-changing, and they're going through something. As opposed to just like, oh, I'm doing something. They're like, oh, okay. Like, it's the same thing. Like, kind of treat it like as though you're saying you're furry, you know? Like, just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to FurCon. Like, it's going to be fun. I'm having a fun time. They're not going to know what that is. They're not going to know what the fuck that means, but they're going to be like, hope you have a nice time. Bye. Like, that's about it. All right, more questions. Yes, definitely drop your question again. Thank you. I did not see it earlier. I'm curious what advice you'd have for helping my dom be more confident at events. I'm his first everything. Oh, well, that'll make it rough. So anxiety can be really high for him. That's great. I'm so glad you want to support your partner. It's exciting, but also nerve-wracking. I would carefully choose the events that you're going to. I'm maybe already doing this, but just to say it, just to cover all the bases, like just be careful about what events you're going to. I would probably go to events that are like newbie oriented or have like a lower number of people at them. I would probably even focus on going to like social events first, like going to munches together, or going to events that are meant for couples to go together, that are more couple-centric. So that way they get familiar with people in the community and they're not being overwhelmed by seeing a bunch of other people like playing around them and doing things they don't like even know what it is or how they're doing it or if it's safe or not. Like, I think giving a person like sort of a social basis for the people that they're seeing around them at events like makes processing those events a whole lot easier, because it takes them off the pedestal of like, wow, look how experienced and amazing and awesome they are, and like turns them into like a real actual fellow human being, not just like the scary dom who knows how to throw like 2 whips at the same time at a dungeon. If you can, and this depends on them if they would be open to this or not, I think maybe having them go to like a dominant like discussion group or support group, either online or in person, can also be really helpful. Again, just to kind of put names to faces, to make them more human, to turn it into not a competitive thing of like, now I'm not comparing myself to what you do in a dungeon. We're like here to support each other and like talk about shit. And you will go to those groups and you will have brand new people that have like, you know, it's really common for people to show up and be like, I'm brand new here. This is like my girlfriend's thing. I like don't really know what I'm doing. Like, please help me, dear God. And they're going to be like, we would love to help you. Like, we would love to give you advice. We've been there. We gotcha. And you're also going to see people there that are really experienced, that are struggling, that are sharing their faults and their flaws and their issues. And again, it just makes them more human. And I think when people are more realistic to us, when we see all of their complexity, it makes it easier to not compare to them or to not feel lack of confidence. I think maybe also working with them to like put together an outfit that they feel really like sexy and hot in would be good. I mean, I don't know what their body confidence is like in general, so this might be an uphill battle of dealing with like years and years and decades and a whole lifetime of self-esteem issues. But if you can help them put together a cute, sexy, hot outfit that you tell them to look cute, sexy, and hot in whatever words they like being called, whatever, I don't know what people say to their partners, whatever makes sense to you. If you can help them put together something that makes them feel really, really good about themselves and like expresses themselves, like I think that goes a long way, especially for dominants to like be confident in a space. Because if you feel like a fish out of water, if you know that you look different from other doms and you feel like you stick out and then you don't seem like a dom because of what you're wearing, it's going to be in your head all night. It's going to be really hard to feel like you are in the in group when you're not dressed like you are in the in group, right? And I think probably also staying away from events that involve like other people having sex with other people is probably a good thing to do as well. And then like fucking hype the shit out of them. Just like one person hype team, like just before you go to the event, on the way home, when you're there, squeeze their hand, tell them how amazing they are, like be their little cheerleader and be like, oh my God, you're so amazing. I'm so happy to do this with you. You're so great. Like just lay it on. Be that support system. And I think that'll make a really, really big difference. I think also just time. And that's not like the most ideal answer, but the worst thing that we can do, well, maybe not the worst thing, one of the worst things that we can do when we're feeling insecurity is to withdraw and to not do things, which is why I'm suggesting to do alternative things versus like not participating. Is if we turn away from stuff because we're scared or we feel like we don't belong, if that's just reinforcing that we were right to feel anxious about the thing. Whereas if we choose to be brave and keep doing the thing and we see that the world doesn't end, we don't get socially rejected, nobody makes fun of us, right? Our girlfriend doesn't leave us for like a bigger, badder dom. Like through seeing that the world doesn't end, we can gain confidence and like, oh, this can work out. I don't have to be so nervous because the thing I'm nervous of like isn't happening. And hopefully that'll kind of let the brain release some of that anxiety, just like time and exposure and getting enough of a familiarity with the environment to where it no longer feels foreign. Yeah, amazing advice. Thank you. We do have a swinger/BDSM club membership. We've been there a ton. He just always gets shy when we arrive. He's not brand new to the concept, just being social. Oh yeah, and I think with that too, especially if you're shy and you're new, I'd really recommend going. Like, I don't know about swingers venues, but with kink venues, generally like people like the majority of the play. If it's at a convention, it's different. But if it's a regular play party night, the peak of people being there is going to be like an hour and a half to like 2 hours into the event most of the time. Whereas if you can go like early or like right before the doors open and like get in there ahead of time, that's going to make it so much easier to socialize with people in that setting. But also if you can go to a munch before that event happens, like literally like maybe there's an event, maybe there's a munch that happens for like the 2 hours before that play party starts, or maybe there's one during the week that has the same people at it, that can be a good way to socialize in like a non-kink setting to where hopefully then when you go to that kink setting, you know them and you can talk to them a little bit earlier. My early stream warning is still in the link section. Oh, I don't know. Oh, I remember. Okay. All right. One last question. Who will be the last question? Okay, I'm randomly just picking one based on where my... Yes, they would put ginger in a horse's butt because we like torturing animals as a society. Whatever. This is not the last question, but I will answer it. Yes, so the shock and horror. Society that consumes animals' flesh regularly doesn't see a problem with mildly torturing animals because we didn't think that animals were even capable of feeling pain until relatively recently on the sociological timeline. What is a fetish and a kink? What's the difference? Great question. All right, so a fetish, I'm very strict with my definition of fetish because I don't think it's helpful to use it in a broad way. Clinically, in a medical, psychological context, a fetish is a thing, a non-normative thing that you have to be thinking about, engaging with, being a part of in order to achieve arousal and or orgasm. Usually what this means for most people that have a fetish is they might be able to get off physiologically to other things just through like biomechanics of if you like stimulate the body part enough, like orgasms can still happen, but the orgasm that you get from engaging or thinking about the fetish thing is like way, way, way above and beyond what you would get from not engaging with it, to the point that for the majority of people who have like a clinical level fetish, they can't achieve orgasm without thinking about it in some way, or it's very, very difficult to get off either to the same extent or at all without thinking about it or engaging in the fetish in some way. Not all kinks are fetishes, though some fetishes can also be a kink. So, for example, there are people who have a fetish for a BDL, as in they only become sexually aroused by and achieve sexual climax through doing things related to like diaper wearing or behaving like an adult baby, whereas other people it's like a choice that they do because they're intrigued by it in some way, but it maybe isn't even necessarily sexual for them. Also, fetishes are always inherently sexual. That's like kit and caboodle with the term, whereas not all fetishes are necessarily kinks. So for example, like, do some people have a fetish for knives? Like, yes, but some people have a kink for knives, which means it's a non-normative thing that they enjoy doing for some kind of sensory and or intimate stimulation. So it could be a sexual thing. It could just be a like makes brain go zippy zappy, gives my brain fun tingle feelings when somebody like puts bondage on my body. Doesn't necessarily have to be a sexual thing, doesn't have to have anything to do with arousal whatsoever, does not necessarily have to be required at all for sexual arousal. It's just like a fun thing that you might enjoy doing that's outside of what the mainstream sees as like normal, you know, to be part of human intimate interactions. And I say intimate because that incorporates both romantic and sexual experiences, which I think is something that includes more of like DS activities and also people that do kink non-sexually, because a lot of people do either some of the time or all the time. Hopefully that was a little quick 2-minute summary of an answer to that question. Yes. You're so welcome, Rain. Thank you for asking your question. I will be wishing you luck. And with that being said, it is 8 o'clock. We have somehow once again come to the end of the stream. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate you spending some of your Friday night with me. By the way, on my channel stuff, I've been using QR codes now to make it easier to get to links. The QR codes I had up originally stopped working, so I replaced them, and now the QR code should work. So if you want to be a really helpful channel viewer as like a bonus thing, if you wouldn't mind like either going back to the beginning of the stream or like going to I don't know, maybe I'll show it right now because I can just transition to it like on screen now, right? Just I'll play it at the end of the stream. I want to scan that and just so I can see that it's working and people can scan it. That would be great. Just so I know that that's the one that actually works. But I will see you all later. Thank you all so much. Wear your sunscreen, drink water, stay safe, have fun, and I will talk to you all again very soon. Bye. I know, baby. I said the goodbye word this special way, which means I'm done streaming. Do you want to come over and say hello? Do you want? Oh, look at you, sweetie. Hi. Hi, baby. Oh, my girl. Oh, I'm so good. Oh, I'm such a good baby. Come here. Pick you up. Boop. Look at the little fluffy baby. Look at her. She is so perfect. Hello. Aw, we snoozing, honey? It's almost dinner time, honey. Are you excited? Yeah. Oh, my sweet girl. You're grunting. Why are we grunting? Oh, what's wrong, honey? What's wrong? This is your moment of bliss, by the way. This is my stream's equivalent of the moment of bliss. I'm 30. I'm 30 years old. I'm old. I'm old. Yeah. Oh, sweet girl. We're gonna sneeze? You gonna sneeze, honey? Oh, it's okay. Need some punkies? Okay. It's okay. It's okay, baby. It's okay. Alright, bye! See you later. Alright, bye. Thank you for watching.